Review for the system of equations test. All right, so when you're doing a system, trying to solve by graphing, you need to graph each one of those lines individually. So the red one was the negative 1/2 x plus 6. I started at 6. I went down 1 and over 2. The other equation starts at the negative 4. It has a slope of 2, so it's going up 2 and over 1. Now the solution is where those two lines cross. And remember that ordered pairs go x comma y, so I went over to 4 on the x-axis, so that's a positive 4, and then I went up 4 to the y-axis, so my answer is 4, 4. Now number 2 asks, are the following two lines parallel or perpendicular? So if you look at their equations right here, since these two lines have the same slope, they are actually parallel. So they are parallel lines. So what would be the solution to the equation? Well, if a solution is where the two lines cross, and these two lines are never going to cross because they're parallel, so they're not getting closer to each other, then that means that they have no solution. When you're doing the word problems, all I want you to do is set up the systems. Do not solve. So Dan has 18 coins in nickels and dimes. The coins are worth $1.50. Find out how many nickels and dimes are in his pocket. So when you see these questions, you need to think how many and how much. So when I say how many, I'm talking about how many coins are in the problem. That's 18. How much are they worth? That one is $1.50. So once you've got those two, go back to the how many. When I said 18, that's talking about 18 nickels and dimes. So N is my number of nickels, D is my number of dimes. And I'm going to use this to help me with the how much. Because a nickel is worth how much? Well, it's worth 5 cents, which is 0.05. So you're getting 5 cents for each nickel, plus you're getting 10 cents for each dime, and altogether that equals $1.50. And that's all I want you to do right there. For the perimeter problem, same thing. I just want you to write the equations. The perimeter of a rectangle is 78 millimeters. The length is 3 more than twice the width. So what are the length and the width of the rectangle? So the very first thing that I want you to do is to write the equation for the length. They said the length is, so length equals, because that's my is word, 3 more than twice the width. Well, I want to start with 2w for twice the width, and if I need 3 more than that, I would be adding 3 to it. This is part of my answer. Now I want you to use this to write the other equation for perimeter. When you're labeling your rectangle, we're going to go ahead and replace the two length sides with 2w plus 3. That's normally length, but since it's equal to that, we're going to replace it. For perimeter, all you are doing is adding up all the sides. So 2 plus 2 gives me 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 1 more is 6. So altogether I've got 6 w's. I also have 3 plus 3, which gives me a positive 6, and this is equal to the perimeter that they gave me in the problem, 78. So that's all I need you to do on that kind of problem. For number 5, I want you to use A for apples, P for pears. When they said that Sasha went to H-E-B to buy groceries, she bought 4 apples and 3 pears for $27. I'm going to represent that as 4 apples plus 3 pears was altogether $27. But the next sentence says that Jonathan went to H-E-B and bought 2 apples, so 2A, and 5 pears, 5P, for $31. And that's all I want you to do. The harder parts are dealing with substitution and elimination. Now it's going to tell you, when it says substitution, you look for either an x equals or a y equals. And in this case, I've got x equals all of this stuff. So I'm going to take that stuff that I just circled and plug it in place of x in the problem. Now look, I put the 3, I still have the minus 2y, and I still have the equals negative 1. I am just replacing the x, and once you replace it, it's gone. And in place of it, I'm putting the 6y minus 11. Now what you need to do is solve for y, and you do that by distributing. So this gives me 18y minus 33 minus 2y equals a negative 1. Then you need to combine the like terms. 18y minus 2y is 16y minus 33 equals a negative 1. Then from there, it is a two-step equation. If I'm trying to get y by itself, that makes the negative 33 the friend. So I'm going to add it to each side. So that 16y is equal to 32. The last step would be to divide both sides by 16, and now I've got y is equal to 2. That gave us half of our answer. In order to find the value of x, go back to one of your original equations. Does not matter which one you pick, but I like the top one. And I know now y equals 2, so let's plug that in. So x is equal to 6 times 2 minus 11, and if I go ahead and multiply that, that means x is equal to 12 minus 11, so x is equal to 1. Make sure that when you write your final answer, you have your x value first and your y value second. You must write your answer as an ordered pair. Now this next one is elimination. That's whenever your x's, your y's, your equal sign, and your constants are all lined up. You need two things: the same number and the opposite signs. So let's say that I pick my x's. I want to eliminate the x's. Between 3x and 1x is smaller, so that's the equation that I'm going to multiply by something. So if this is a positive 3x, I need the other one to be a negative 3x, the same number but with the opposite sign. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by negative 3 because it started off as a 1. And when you do that, negative 3 times x is a negative 3x. Negative 3 times y is negative 3y. And don't forget about the constant on the other side. Negative times negative gives me a positive 6. The other equation I just rewrote underneath it. Now I've got 3's in front of my x's. One's positive, one's negative, so I can add my two equations together. That cancels and leaves me with negative 1y is equal to 12 because negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. 6 plus 6 is 12. So now I just need to divide both sides by negative 1 and I've got y equals negative 12. To find the other answer, I'm going to pick one of those original equations. I personally like x plus y equals a negative 2. I'm going to take that and plug it in place of y. So x plus that negative 12 is equal to a negative 2. And when you have this situation going on, it's like saying positive 1 times a negative 12. Well, it's still negative 12. Okay. So my last step would be to add 12 to both sides, which ends up giving me x equals a positive 10. So my answer here is 10, negative 12. All right. Now the next problem, which I did not number, it's supposed to be number 8, is also an elimination problem. But this one's different, because if I'm picking between my x's, 2 is smaller than 5, well, I can't multiply 2 by something and turn it into a 5. So this is one of those situations where you're going to multiply both equations. The 5 on the bottom, well, let's multiply the top by 5. 2 on the top, multiply the bottom by 2. That way we've turned both of them into 10x. However, we need one of them to be negative, so just pick whichever one you feel like and make it negative. But then we need to make sure we distribute all the way through. So that gave me negative 10x, that's negative or positive 25, and that one is positive 35. Same thing on the bottom row, all the way through, 10x, negative 6y, and positive 22. I can add my two equations together now because those cancel. This gives me 19y is equal to, let's see, 57. And when I divide both sides by 19, I end up with y is equal to 3. So pick one of your original equations. I'm going to do 2x minus 5y equals negative 7, and I'm plugging that in. And I'm going to go through this last part very quickly. So plug it in. Once you've got it plugged in, multiply it by whatever it's touching with the parentheses. Now it's a two-step equation. I need to add the friend to both sides of that equal sign so that 2x is equal to 8. So my last step would be to divide both sides by 2, so x equals 4. So my answer is 4, 3.